Kyle Martinez wiped the sweat from his forehead and stared at the broken air filter in his hands. Another day, another repair on Harmony 7. The station was home to 47 different alien species, and somehow the air filters always broke down in the most awkward places. He was in the hydroponics bay, surrounded by plants from a dozen different worlds. The air smelled wet and green, like Earth gardens back home. Kyle liked this place. It reminded him of the farming colonies where he grew up. Some of these plants looked familiar, while others were strange beyond belief. One section had purple vines that glowed faintly in the dark. Another had crystal-like flowers that hummed when you walked past them. The hydroponics bay was massive, stretching 3 levels high and half a kilometer long. The aliens grew food here, studied plants here, and sometimes just came to relax among the greenery. Kyle had been working here for 3 hours, fixing filters in the experimental section. His stomach growled. He had forgotten to eat breakfast again. That was when he saw them. Bright red fruits hanging from a small tree in the corner. They looked exactly like apples from Earth, round, shiny, about the size of his fist. Kyle walked over and examined them. Nobody was around. The experimental section usually had a few scientists poking around, but right now it was empty except for him and the plants. The fruits hung in clusters of 3 and 4. They looked ripe and ready to eat. Kyle figured they must be okay if they were growing in the food section. The aliens on Harmony 7 were always trying to grow food from different worlds to share with everyone. Last week, someone had brought in these amazing purple berries that tasted like chocolate. Kyle had eaten a whole bowl. He reached up and picked one of the red fruits. It felt firm and smooth in his hand. Kyle lifted it to his nose and sniffed. It smelled sweet, like apples mixed with something he could not quite name. Maybe cinnamon? He shrugged and took a bite. The fruit crunched between his teeth. Juice ran down his chin. It tasted wonderful, sweet and slightly tangy, with a little tingly sensation on his tongue, kind of like eating a really spicy apple. Kyle grinned and took another big bite. This was great. He picked 2 more fruits and stuffed them into his tool bag for later. Kyle went back to work on the air filter, munching on his apple while he worked. The tingly sensation got a bit stronger, but not in a bad way. It just felt interesting, like drinking carbonated water or eating fresh mint. He finished the first fruit and tossed the core into the compost bin. Then he got back to fixing the filter. 2 hours passed. Kyle finished repairing 3 more filters and moved to a different section. He was humming an old song from Earth while he worked. The hydroponics bay was peaceful today. Just him, the plants, and the soft sound of water flowing through the irrigation system. In another part of the station, Dr. Krickstall entered the hydroponics bay for his afternoon rounds. Dr. Krickstall was a Branari, which meant he looked something like a walking stick insect the size of a large dog. He had 6 legs, 4 arms, and eyes that could see ultraviolet light. He was in charge of the experimental plant section. Dr. Krickstall walked slowly through the rows of plants, checking each one with care. He made notes on his tablet about growth rates and soil conditions. Everything looked normal until he reached the veteran death-apple tree. He stopped walking. 3 fruits were missing. Dr. Krickstall felt his heart rate speed up. His climbing claws dug into the floor. This was bad. This was very, very bad. The veteran death apple was one of the most poisonous fruits in known space. It killed most living things in less than 5 minutes. That was why it was called a death apple. The fruit had been brought to the station for study. Scientists wanted to understand its poison so they could maybe create medicine from it, but nobody was supposed to touch it without full protective gear. Nobody was supposed to eat it, ever, under any circumstances. Dr. Krickstall spun around and ran to the security terminal. His 6 legs moved in a blur. He pulled up the camera footage from the past few hours. Fast forward, there, a human, working on the air filters, walking over to the death apple tree, picking a fruit, eating it. Dr. Krickstall made a sound that humans would describe as a squeak of pure terror. He watched the human take another bite, and another. The human was just standing there, eating a veteran death apple like it was a normal snack. Dr. Krickstall checked the timestamp. That was 2 hours ago. The human should be dead, very dead. So dead that there would be nothing left but a puddle of dissolved tissue. But on the camera, the human was still walking around, still working, still alive. Dr. Krickstall hit the emergency alert button. Every doctor on the station got an immediate message on their tablets. Priority 1 medical emergency. Possible death apple poisoning. Human victim. Last seen in Corridor 7B. In the medical bay, Dr. Vexilani was reviewing patient files when the alert came through. She jumped up so fast that her chair fell over. Dr. Vexilani was a Ritharian, which meant she looked like a praying mantis mixed with a scorpion. She had 6 limbs, compound eyes, and a brilliant mind for medicine. She was the chief medical officer on Harmony 7, and in 12 years of service she had never seen a death apple poisoning case. She had only read about them in textbooks. The survival rate was 0. The textbook said that death apple poison destroyed cells from the inside out. It attacked the nervous system, the organs, everything. There was an antidote, but it had to be given within the first minute. After that, nothing could be done. But the alert said this happened 2 hours ago. That made no sense. The human should not still be alive to find. Still, Dr. Vexilani grabbed her emergency medical kit and assembled her team. 3 nurses came running. They loaded up with antidotes, emergency equipment, and full protective gear. If the human had somehow survived this long, maybe there was still a chance. Maybe. They rushed through the station corridors. People jumped out of their way. A medical emergency at Priority 1 meant life or death. Dr. Vexilani's team reached Corridor 7B in less than 3 minutes. They scanned the area with their medical sensors, looking for signs of a human in distress. The sensors picked up a human life sign further down the corridor. The readings looked normal. Heart rate normal. Brain activity normal. That could not be right. Dr. Vexilani checked her equipment. Everything was working fine. She looked at her team. They looked back at her with confusion in their alien eyes. They moved forward carefully like they were approaching a bomb. Around the corner, they found him. A human male in a maintenance uniform, kneeling in front of an open air filter panel. He was humming a song and eating something red. Dr. Vexilani felt her breathing stop. The human was eating another death apple. His second one. Maybe his third. He looked completely healthy. Happy even. He was smiling while he chewed. The medical team burst into action. They surrounded the human with their equipment ready. Dr. Vexilani held up the antidote injector and shouted in her clicking, whistling voice. The translator box on her belt turned her words into English. "Stop eating that. We have the antidote." "Hold still." Kyle looked up from his work. He saw 4 aliens in full medical gear surrounding him. They looked panicked. One of them was waving what looked like a large syringe at him. Kyle swallowed his bite of fruit and looked around in confusion. "Antidote for what?" he asked. He took another bite of his apple. Dr. Vexilani stared at him. Her compound eyes could not get any wider, but if they could, they would have. The human had just asked what the antidote was for, while eating a death apple, while showing no signs of poisoning whatsoever. One of the nurses made a whimpering sound. Another one started checking his medical scanner over and over like it might be broken. The third nurse just stood there with his mouth hanging open, which was quite a sight since he had 3 mouths. You ate the veteran death apple," Dr. Vexilani said slowly. She pointed at the fruit in Kyle's hand with one of her claws. "That fruit. The red one. You ate it." "Yeah," Kyle said. He looked at the fruit like he was seeing it for the first time. "I found them in the hydroponics bay. They taste pretty good. Kinda spicy. Want one? I have another in my bag." 3 of the medical team members took a step backward. The 4th one made a sound like a tea kettle whistling. Dr. Vexilani held up one claw in a gesture that meant, "Wait, or maybe stop, or possibly help me. I am losing my mind." "You need to come with us to the medical bay," Dr. Vexilani said. Her voice was very calm, the way people sound when they are trying very hard not to scream. "Right now, immediately, we need to examine you." "Is something wrong?" Kyle asked. He stood up and brushed the dust off his knees. "I feel fine. I still have 3 more filters to fix today." "The filters can wait," Dr. Vexilani said. "You ate poison. Very strong poison. You should be dead." Kyle blinked. He looked at the half-eaten fruit in his hand. Then he looked at the medical team. Then back at the fruit. "Oh," he said. "That explains the tingling." Dr. Vexilani made a decision. She gestured to her team, and they surrounded Kyle in a protective formation. They were going to escort him to medical whether he wanted to go or not. They were also going to take the death apple away from him before he finished eating it. Kyle sighed and put down his tools. He handed over the fruit without complaint, though he looked a bit sad about it. The medical team sealed. The medical bay of Harmony 7 was the most advanced facility in this sector of space. It had equipment from 30 different worlds, doctors trained in hundreds of species biology, and enough medicine to handle almost any emergency. But right now, every single person in the room was completely baffled. Kyle sat on an examination table, swinging his legs back and forth like a bored child. Around him, 6 different doctors were arguing in 4 different languages. Their translator boxes were working overtime, filling the air with overlapping voices. "The scanners must be broken," said Dr. Hennix, a gelatinous blob creature who specialized in toxicology. "Run them again." "We have run them 4 times, Dr. Vexilani replied. She was looking at her tablet screen like it had personally insulted her. "The results are the same. He has massive amounts of cytotoxin in his bloodstream, enough to kill 50 Ritharians, but his vital signs are completely normal." Kyle raised his hand. "Excuse me. Can I go now? I really do have work to finish." Every doctor turned to stare at him. Dr. Vexilani clicked her mandibles together in frustration. "No, Mr. Martinez, you cannot go. You have enough poison in your body to kill everything in this room, multiple times. We need to understand why you are not dead." "But I feel fine," Kyle protested. "Better than fine, actually. Those apples were really good. Do you know if there are more? I would not mind having another one for lunch tomorrow." 3 doctors made sounds of alarm. One of them actually fainted. A nurse had to catch him before he hit the floor. Kyle looked confused by the reaction. He was starting to realize that maybe he had done something more serious than he thought. Dr. Vexilani took a deep breath. All 4 of her breathing holes opened and closed in sequence. She was trying to remain calm. She was a professional. She had dealt with medical mysteries before. But this was different. This was impossible. She walked over to Kyle and pulled up a holographic display. "Mr. Martinez, I need you to look at this. This is what a veteran death apple does to living tissue." The hologram showed a simulation. A healthy cell, bright and active. Then the toxin was introduced. The cell started to break down. The membrane dissolved. The internal structures collapsed. Within seconds, there was nothing left but a puddle of broken molecules. The simulation showed this happening to thousands of cells at once. Kyle watched the display. His eyes got wider. "Oh, that looks bad." "It is bad," Dr. Vexilani confirmed. "This happens in 3 to 5 minutes for most species. Some last up to 15 minutes if they are very strong. But the end result is always the same. Total system failure, death." She pulled up another image. This one showed different species and their survival times after eating a death apple. Ritharians, 4 minutes. Kalari, 6 minutes. Brinari, 3 minutes. Humans, the space next to the word was blank. "We have no data on humans," Dr. Vexilani said, "because no human has ever eaten a death apple before. You are the first. You should have died within 5 minutes. It has been 3 hours. You show no symptoms." Kyle looked down at his hands. He turned them over, examining them like they might have changed somehow. "I did notice a tingly feeling on my tongue, but I thought that was just how the fruit tasted." "Tingly," Dr. Vexilani repeated. She wrote this down on her tablet. "The most deadly poison in known space gave you a tingly feeling." "Yeah, like eating spicy food. You know, like hot peppers?" Kyle tried to be helpful. Dr. Hennix, the blob doctor, made a gurgling sound. He was looking at his own tablet. His whole body was wobbling with what might have been excitement or horror. It was hard to tell with blobs. "I just looked up hot peppers," Dr. Hennix said. His translator made his voice sound like water flowing over rocks. "They contain capsaicin, a compound that triggers pain receptors. Most species would consider it a dangerous irritant. Humans eat it for fun." The room went quiet. All the doctors were looking at Kyle with new expressions. Fear mixed with curiosity mixed with something that might have been respect, or possibly terror. It was hard to tell with so many different alien faces. Dr. Vexilani pulled up another file on her tablet. This one was labeled Earth Biology Overview. She had read it before when the first humans arrived on the station 2 years ago, but she had not paid much attention to certain details. Now those details seemed very important. "Earth is classified as a Class 9 death world," she read aloud. "High gravity, extreme temperature variations, aggressive fauna and flora, numerous poisonous species." She looked up at Kyle. "You evolved on a death world." Kyle shrugged. "I guess. I mean, Earth seems pretty normal to me. But yeah, we have some dangerous animals. And some poisonous plants. You learn to avoid them when you are a kid. Some poisonous plants, Dr. Vexilani echoed. She scrolled through the Earth file. Your planet has over 400,000 documented species of plants. Approximately 30,000 of them are poisonous to humans, and yet humans survived. Well, yeah, Kyle said. We figured out which ones were safe, and we learned to cook the poisonous ones to make them safe. Some of them even taste good after you cook them properly. Dr. Hennigs was wobbling more intensely now. His whole body was rippling like a pond in a storm. He pulled up his own file and shared it to the main display screen. It was a diagram of the human liver. Look at this organ, he said. The human liver is extraordinarily complex. It has over 500 different functions. One of its primary jobs is detoxification. It breaks down poisons and removes them from the body. Human livers are roughly 3 times more efficient at this than most comparable species. Another doctor spoke up. This was Dr. Senior, a bird-like creature with bright blue feathers. She specialized in evolutionary biology. She was looking at Kyle like he was the most interesting puzzle she had ever seen. This makes sense from an evolutionary perspective, Dr. Senior said. Her voice was high and musical. On a death world with many poisonous species, the survivors would be those with better detoxification systems. Over millions of years, humans developed extremely efficient livers. They had to, or they would have gone extinct. Kyle was starting to understand. So you're saying humans are just naturally good at dealing with poison? Not just good, Dr. Vexilani said. Exceptional. Your species has survival capabilities that exceed almost everything we have on record. She looked at her tablet again. Let me check something. She pulled up a list of common human foods and drinks. Her compound eyes moved rapidly as she scanned the information. Then she stopped. She made a clicking sound that her translator did not even try to convert into words. You drink alcohol, she said. It was not a question. Sometimes, Kyle admitted. Usually beer. Sometimes wine. Why? Alcohol is a poison, Dr. Vexilani said. A neurotoxin. Most species use it as industrial cleaner or engine fuel. You drink it recreationally. Well, yeah, but just a little bit, Kyle said. If you drink too much, you get sick. Everyone knows that. You consume poison until you get sick and then you stop, Dr. Hennigs summarized. And you consider this normal behavior. I mean, when you put it that way, it sounds weird, Kyle said. But lots of people drink. It is a social thing. Dr. Vexilani was scrolling through more files. She found another item that made her stop and stare. She held up her tablet to show the others. Caffeine, she said, a stimulant compound found in earth plants. Acts as a pesticide in nature, deadly to most insects and small animals. Humans consume it daily in beverages called coffee and tea. Kyle brightened up. Oh yeah, I love coffee. Do you have any here? I could really use a cup right about now. Every single doctor in the room took a step backward. Even the one who had fainted earlier, who was now sitting up on the floor, scooted away from Kyle. You want more poison, Dr. Vexilani said slowly. After eating the death apple, you now want to consume a different poison. Coffee is not poison, Kyle protested. It is just coffee. It wakes you up and helps you focus. It is completely safe. For you, Dr. Senner pointed out. For humans, not for anyone else in this room. Kyle looked around at all the alien doctors. He was finally starting to realize just how different humans were from everyone else. Things that seemed normal to him were terrifying to them. He had been living on this station for 6 months, working alongside dozens of different species, and he had never really thought about how strange humans might seem to others. I am sorry, he said quietly. I did not mean to scare anyone. I honestly thought those apples were safe. I would never have eaten them if I had known they were dangerous. Dr. Vexilani's expression softened, well, as much as an insect face could soften. She reached out and patted Kyle's shoulder with one of her claws. The gesture was awkward but kind. We know, Mr. Martinez, this is not your fault. We simply need to better understand human biology. For everyone's safety, including yours. She turned to her team of doctors. They were all still looking shaken, but they were professional enough to focus on the work ahead. We need to run a full analysis, Dr. Vexilani said. Blood work, tissue samples, everything. We need to understand exactly how Mr. Martinez's body is processing the toxin. This information could be valuable for future medical emergencies. Kyle sighed. How long is this going to take? Several hours, Dr. Vexilani admitted. We will try to make you comfortable. You can use the entertainment system. And we will bring you... By the next morning, the entire station knew about Kyle and the death apple. The cafeteria was buzzing with conversation. Work crews whispered to each other in the corridors. Even the maintenance robots seemed to beep more excitedly than usual. Kyle tried to go about his normal routine, but everywhere he went, people stared. Some aliens moved away from him nervously. Others wanted to get closer, asking questions about Earth and human biology. One small creature that looked like a floating jellyfish actually asked for his autograph. His friend Sophie found him hiding in a supply closet during his lunch break. Sophie Grant was a security officer on the station. She was tall, strong, and usually found everything funny. Right now, she was trying very hard not to laugh. "So," she said, leaning against the doorframe, "I heard you ate poison yesterday." "It looked like apples," Kyle said miserably. "How was I supposed to know?"
Kyle, we have been over this.
"You cannot just eat random things in the hydroponics bay. Remember last month when you tried those purple berries? Those were fine. Nobody told me they were not for humans. They were fine for you. They gave Dr. Crickstal hives for a week." Sophie shook her head, but she was smiling. "You are becoming a legend, you know. Half the station thinks you're immortal. The other half thinks you are insane. I just want to fix air filters and be left alone," Kyle muttered. Before Sophie could respond, Kyle's communicator beeped. It was Dr. Vexlani, requesting his presence at an emergency xenobiology conference. Kyle groaned. Sophie patted his shoulder sympathetically. "Come on, famous guy. Let us go see what the doctors want now." The conference room was packed. Kyle had never seen so many doctors in one place. There were at least 20 different species represented, all crowded around a large table covered in tablets, holographic displays, and medical equipment. When Kyle walked in, everyone stopped talking and turned to look at him. Dr. Vexlani stood at the head of the table. She gestured for Kyle to sit in a chair they had prepared for him. It was a human-sized chair, which was thoughtful of them. Most of the station furniture was designed for smaller species. "Thank you for coming, Mr. Martinez," Dr. Vexlani said. "We have been studying your test results from yesterday, and we have some questions." "Okay," Kyle said nervously. He felt like he was in school again, about to take a test he had not studied for. Dr. Senier, the bird-like doctor, pulled up a holographic display. It showed a detailed map of Earth with different regions highlighted in various colors. "We have been researching your homeworld," she said. Her musical voice sounded excited. "Earth is fascinating and terrifying. Your planet has more environmental hazards than any other inhabited world in our database." She zoomed in on different parts of the map as she spoke. Each region lit up with information. Extreme temperature zones. Humans live in places where the temperature ranges from -40 to +50 degrees Celsius. Most species cannot survive temperature swings of more than 10 degrees. Kyle shrugged. "We just wear different clothes. Heavy coats in winter, light clothes in summer." Several doctors made sounds of amazement. Dr. Senner continued. "Your planet has areas with extreme atmospheric pressure, high mountains where the air is thin, deep valleys. Humans live in all of these places. Some humans even climb to the tops of your tallest mountains for recreation." "Mountain climbing is fun," Kyle said. "You get a great view at the top." "Fun," Dr. Vexlani repeated, writing this down. "Humans risk death for fun." Dr. Hennigs wobbled forward, his blob body rippling with each movement. He pulled up a new display showing various Earth creatures. "Let us talk about the other life forms on your planet. You have predators that hunt in packs, predators with venom, predators that are larger and stronger than humans, and yet humans survived. More than survived. Humans became the dominant species. We use tools," Kyle explained, "and we work together. Humans are pretty good at solving problems." "You hunted your predators to extinction," Dr. Hennick said. "Multiple species. Gone because humans were more efficient at killing." Kyle felt a bit uncomfortable. He had never really thought about it that way. On Earth, extinction was just something that happened in history books. Here, surrounded by aliens, it sounded much more scary. "We did not mean to make them extinct," he said quietly. "Mostly it just happened. Humans needed space to live and grow food. The big predators got in the way." Another doctor spoke up. This was Dr. Pax, a crystalline being who sparkled under the conference room lights. She specialized in biochemistry. "We tested your liver enzyme levels, Mr. Martinez. The results are extraordinary. Your liver produces over 50 different enzymes capable of breaking down toxic compounds. For comparison, my species has 12. The average across known species is 15. Is that good?" Kyle asked. "It is exceptional," Dr. Pax said. "It means your body can process substances that would kill most other beings." Not just the death apple. Many other compounds as well. Dr. Vexlani brought up another file. This one showed a list of common human foods and drinks. Next to each item was a skull symbol. We have compiled a list of things humans consume regularly that are dangerous to other species. Coffee, alcohol, chocolate, hot peppers, garlic, onions, grapes, certain nuts, certain mushrooms. The list goes on. Mr. Martinez, did you know that chocolate is toxic to many earth animals? Yeah, you cannot give it to dogs or cats. Everyone knows that. And yet humans eat it regularly, with no ill effects. Because we are not dogs or cats, Kyle said. He was getting confused. This all seemed very obvious to him. Dr. Vexlani clicked her mandibles together. It was a sound she made when she was thinking hard. Mr. Martinez, I do not think you understand how unusual your species is. In all of recorded galactic history, we have encountered hundreds of intelligent species. None of them evolved on a world as hostile as Earth. None of them have your resistance to toxins. None of them can survive in such varied environments. Kyle thought about this. What about Retharians? Your planet must have been difficult. My homeworld has a stable temperature year-round. One large ocean, several continents with gentle terrain. The most dangerous predator is about the size of your hand. We evolved in peaceful conditions. Dr. Vexlani paused. Earth has sharks. Sharks are not that bad, Kyle protested. They mostly leave people alone. They are predators the size of vehicles with hundreds of sharp teeth. Your species invented special cages just to observe them safely, and some humans swim with them for fun. Kyle opened his mouth to argue, then closed it again. Maybe Sophie was right. Maybe humans did seem a little insane to everyone else. Dr. Senir pulled up another display. This one showed human athletic activities. Running, swimming, climbing, jumping. But also more extreme sports. Skydiving, rock climbing without ropes, racing down mountains on small boards. Explain these activities, she said. Why do humans deliberately put themselves in danger? For fun, Kyle said. For the challenge. To see if we can do it. You risk death for fun, Dr. Vexlani said again, writing more notes. Well, most people do not die, Kyle pointed out. We are pretty good at not dying. We have safety equipment and training and stuff. The room was silent for a moment. All the alien doctors were looking at Kyle with expressions he could not quite read. Fear, respect, wonder. Maybe all three mixed together. Commander Zelnoth entered the conference room. The Kalari commander was tall and slim, with smooth blue-green skin that glistened under the lights. He moved like water flowing, graceful and calm, usually calm. Right now he looked stressed. Doctors, he said in greeting. Mr. Martinez. He nodded at Kyle. I have been reviewing station incident reports from the past 2 years. The ones involving humans. He pulled up his own tablet and displayed it for everyone to see. The list was longer than Kyle expected. Human-consumed food labeled as extremely spicy caused a Grexian to require medical treatment after trying the same food. Human exercised in the station gym using weights that exceeded safety limits for the equipment. Human repaired a coolant leak without full protective gear and temperatures that should have caused frostbite. Human worked in a contaminated section that should have required a full hazmat suit. Commander Zelnoth looked at Kyle. His large eyes blinked slowly. Mr. Martinez, was that you? The coolant leak incident? Kyle nodded sheepishly. I had a jacket on. And gloves. I was fine. The temperature in that section was minus 30 degrees Celsius. I have worked in colder, Kyle said. Back on the mining colony where I grew up, winter temperatures got down to minus 40 sometimes. Commander Zelnoth made a sound like air escaping from a tire. He sat down in one of the chairs, which adjusted to fit his body shape. We have been underestimating humans, he said to the assembled doctors, significantly underestimating. We need to revise our safety protocols and our understanding of what humans can and cannot do. Dr. Vexlani nodded in agreement. She had been thinking the same thing. I propose we establish a new research initiative, she said. A comprehensive study of human biology and capabilities. With Mr. Martinez's cooperation, of course. Everyone looked at Kyle. He felt very small in his chair, surrounded by all these important people. What would I have to do? Simple tests, Dr. Vexlani assured him. Nothing dangerous. We just want to understand your limits, what you can safely handle. What other humans? 3 days after the Death Apple incident, Commander Zelnoth received a call from the Galactic Council. He sat in his office watching the holographic display flicker to life. 3 council members appeared, representing 3 different species. They did not look happy. The first speaker was Ambassador Threnix, a tall being made of what looked like living crystal. Her voice sounded like wind chimes. She got straight to the point. "Commander, we have received concerning reports about human behavior on your station, specifically regarding the consumption of a Class A toxic substance." Commander Zelnoth had been expecting this. News traveled fast in the galaxy, especially news about impossible things. "Yes, Ambassador. One of our human residents accidentally ate a veteran death apple. I can assure you that proper safety protocols are now in place to prevent future incidents." "Accidentally," repeated Ambassador Threnix. "And this human survived?" "He did. Human biology is more resilient than our initial assessments indicated." The second council member leaned forward. This was Counselor Breck, a stocky being with thick gray skin and small eyes. He spoke in a deep, rumbling voice. "Commander, we are concerned about the safety of having humans in mixed species environments. If they can consume substances that are deadly to most other species, what else can they survive?"
What other risks do they pose?
Commander Zelnoth felt a flash of anger, but he kept his voice calm. He had learned long ago that diplomacy required patience. "Humans pose no risk to others, Counselor. They are peaceful, cooperative, and have been valuable members of our station community for 2 years. The fact that they can survive certain toxins does not make them dangerous." "Perhaps not intentionally," said the third council member. This was Senator Coulin, who looked like a floating jellyfish with tentacles. "But their very nature is concerning. They evolved on a death world. They have biological capabilities that exceed most known species. This raises questions about their place in galactic society. With respect, Senator, I believe those questions have already been answered. Humans have proven themselves to be excellent engineers, scientists, and diplomats. They have contributed significantly to countless stations and colonies. Judge them by their actions, not by their biology." The 3 council members looked at each other. There was a long pause. Finally, Ambassador Threnix spoke again. "We will need a full report on this incident, including medical data and analysis. We must understand the extent of human capabilities before making any decisions about future human integration into galactic facilities." "Of course. Ambassador, Dr. Vexlani is preparing a comprehensive study. You will have it within the week." The call ended. Commander Zelnoth sat back in his chair and rubbed his face with his webbed hands. This was becoming complicated. He pressed a button on his desk. "Please send Mr. Martinez and Lieutenant Grant to my office." 20 minutes later, Kyle and Sophie stood in the commander's office. Kyle looked nervous. Sophie looked amused, which was her default expression. "Am I in trouble?" Kyle asked. "No, Mr. Martinez, but we have a situation. The Galactic Council is concerned about human presence on mixed-species stations. I need you to help me explain that humans are not a threat." Sophie spoke up. "With respect, sir, humans are kind of a threat. Not in a bad way. But we can do things other species cannot. That makes some people nervous." "I am aware, Lieutenant. That is why I need your help. I want you to give a presentation to station residents. Help them understand humans better. Show them that different does not mean dangerous." Kyle looked alarmed. "A presentation? In front of people?" "Lieutenant Grant will do most of the talking. I just need you there to answer questions. Think of it as community outreach," Sophie grinned. "I can do that." "Come on, Kyle, it will be fun." "Nothing about this has been fun," Kyle muttered, but he agreed. What else could he do? That evening, the station's main auditorium was packed. Species from all over the station had come to hear about humans. Some were curious. Some were worried. Some just wanted to see the human who ate a death apple and lived. Sophie stood at the front of the room looking confident and comfortable. Kyle sat off to the side, trying to be invisible. It was not working. Everyone kept looking at him. "Good evening, everyone," Sophie began. "Thank you for coming. I know there have been a lot of questions about humans lately. About what we can do, what we eat, how we survive. I am here to provide some answers." She pulled up a holographic display of Earth. The planet rotated slowly, blue and green and brown. This is Earth, our home world. It is classified as a Class 9 death world, which means it has extreme environmental conditions, high gravity, temperature extremes, dangerous wildlife, and many poisonous species. Humans evolved in this environment. We adapted to survive it. The display changed to show various Earth animals: lions, bears, sharks, snakes, spiders. These are some of the predators on Earth. Humans are not the biggest or the strongest or the fastest, but we survived by being smart. We made tools. We worked together. We learned which plants were safe to eat and which ones would kill us. We figured out how to cook poisonous foods to make them safe. A small alien in the front row raised a tentacle. Sophie pointed to them. Yes, you in the front? You said you cook poison to make it safe. How does that work? Great question. Heat breaks down many toxic compounds. For example, there are beans on Earth called kidney beans. They contain a poison called lectin. If you eat them raw, you get very sick. But if you boil them for 10 minutes, the poison breaks down and they are perfectly safe. Several aliens in the audience made sounds of amazement. One of them looked like they might faint. Humans eat these beans regularly, Sophie continued. They are a common food. We have hundreds of foods like this. Things that are poisonous in their natural state but safe after cooking. Another hand went up. This time it was Dr. Crickstal, the stick insect scientist from the hydroponics bay. What about the death apple? If Mr. Martinez had cooked it, would it have been less dangerous? Sophie looked at Kyle. He shook his head. I have no idea, he admitted. I just ate it raw. It tasted fine. The death apple contains a different kind of toxin, Dr. Vexilani called out from the back of the room. She had come to watch the presentation. Heat would not break it down. Mr. Martinez survived because human livers are exceptionally efficient at detoxification. His body broke down the poison before it could cause damage. Exactly, Sophie said. Humans have very powerful livers. We can process many substances that other species cannot. This is not magic. It is just evolution. Our ancestors who could handle more toxins were more likely to survive and have children. Over millions of years, this created humans with very strong detoxification systems. She pulled up another display. This one showed different human activities: sports, work, recreation. Humans also have high endurance. We can run for long distances. We can work in varied temperatures. We heal relatively quickly from injuries. Again, this is because of evolution. Our ancestors needed these abilities to survive. A large alien with multiple eyes stood up. It spoke in a booming voice. This is all very interesting, but it does not answer the main question. Are humans dangerous? Should we be concerned about having them on our stations? The room got very quiet. Everyone was waiting for Sophie's answer. She took a deep breath. No, she said firmly. Humans are not dangerous. We are durable. We are resilient. We can survive things that would kill others. But we do not use these abilities to hurt people. We use them to help. Humans work in hazardous environments so others do not have to. We handle dangerous materials. We do repairs in extreme conditions. Our biology is an advantage for everyone, not a threat. She gestured to Kyle. Kyle here is a maintenance engineer. In the past 2 years, he has fixed broken equipment in contaminated sections, repaired coolant leaks in freezing temperatures, and worked in areas with poor air quality. He did these things so other people would be safe. That is what humans do. We help. Kyle felt his face getting hot. He was not used to being praised in front of crowds. But people were nodding. They seemed to understand. Dr. Senir, the bird-like doctor, stood up and spread her wings. It was a gesture of respect among her people. I have been studying human biology for several days now, she said, and I have come to a conclusion. Humans are not dangerous. They are valuable. Their capabilities fill gaps that other species cannot. We should not fear them. We should appreciate them. Several other aliens made sounds of agreement. The mood in the room was shifting. People were starting to see humans differently, not as something scary, but as something useful. After the presentation, many aliens came up to talk to Kyle and Sophie. Some apologized for being afraid. Others asked questions about Earth and human culture. One small creature asked if Kyle would teach them about human food. Kyle said yes, as long as they promised not to eat anything meant for other species. As the crowd slowly left, Commander Zelnoth approached them. He looked relieved. That went well, he said. Much better than I expected. Thank you both. Will the Galactic Council be satisfied? Sophie asked. I believe so. I will send them a recording of tonight's presentation along with Dr. Vexilani's medical report. They will see that humans are an asset, not a liability. Kyle smiled. Maybe this whole Death Apple thing was not so bad after all. 2 weeks after the Death Apple incident, Harmony 7 had settled into a new normal. The station buzzed with activity as always, but something had changed. The way people looked at humans was different now. There was more respect, more curiosity. And surprisingly, more job opportunities. Kyle walked through the corridors on his way to the maintenance bay. People still stared at him, but now they also waved. Some stopped to chat. A Grexian merchant offered him a discount on tools. A Brennari child asked for his autograph, which was just as confusing now as it had been the first time. The biggest change was the new safety protocols. Every experimental section in the hydroponics bay now had bright warning signs. Some were general warnings about dangerous materials. Others were specific, human safe but dangerous to others, or this plant is toxic to most species, or please ask a botanist before consuming. Kyle had attended 3 training sessions on xenobiology and cross-species safety. He could now identify at least 20 different types of dangerous alien plants. He had learned which foods were safe to share and which ones to keep to himself. He had even learned that the purple berries he loved so much were mildly hallucinogenic to Kalari. No wonder Commander Zelnoth had looked at him strangely when Kyle offered him some last month. Dr. Vexlani had created an entire database of human biology for the medical staff. It included information about common human foods, medicines, tolerances, and limits. The file was labeled Essential Human Reference Guide and was required reading for all doctors on the station. Kyle had heard that other stations were requesting copies. The Galactic Council had reviewed the reports and officially approved human presence on mixed-species stations. They had even issued a statement praising human contributions to galactic society. Kyle found the whole thing embarrassing, but Sophie thought it was hilarious. Kyle arrived at the maintenance bay to find a message waiting for him. Commander Zelnoth wanted to see him. Again. Kyle sighed. He hoped this was not another press interview or ceremony or whatever other strange thing had become normal lately. He walked to the commander's office and pressed the door chime. The door slid open. "Mr. Martinez, please come in," Commander Zelnoth said. He was sitting at his desk looking at a tablet. "I have a proposition for you." Kyle sat down carefully. "What kind of proposition?" "As you know, we occasionally have maintenance work that is dangerous for most species. Contaminated sections, extreme temperatures, hazardous materials. We usually send in robots for these jobs. But robots are expensive and not always effective." Kyle nodded. He knew this was true. He had fixed plenty of things that robots could not reach or could not understand. "I would like to create a new position," Commander Zelnoth continued. "Hazardous Environment Specialist. It would involve working in conditions that are unsafe for most species, but manageable for humans. Better pay, better benefits, and you would be helping keep the station safe." Kyle blinked. "You want me to do the dangerous jobs?" "I want you to do the jobs that are dangerous for others but not for you. You have already been doing this informally. This would make it official and properly compensated." Kyle thought about this. He had always liked a challenge, and he had never minded working in tough conditions. Growing up on a mining colony meant he was used to hard work in difficult places. "Would I still fix air filters?" he asked. Commander Zelnoth smiled. Kalari smiles looked strange to human eyes, but Kyle had learned to recognize them. "You would still fix air filters, among other things." "What do you say?" "Okay," Kyle said. "I will do it. But I have one condition." "Name it." "I want proper training. I do not want to accidentally do something that looks safe to me but is actually dangerous. No more incidents like the Death Apple." "Agreed. Dr. Vexilani has already volunteered to provide comprehensive safety training for all humans in hazardous roles. She's quite enthusiastic about it." Kyle could imagine. Dr. Vexilani had been very interested in human biology since the incident. She probably had a whole curriculum planned already. After leaving the commander's office, Kyle went to find Sophie. She was in the security office reviewing patrol schedules. She looked up when he entered. "Hey, famous guy. What is up?" "I just got promoted, sort of. Commander Zelnoth created a new job for me." "Let me guess. They want you to do all the dangerous stuff that terrifies everyone else?" "Pretty much," Sophie grinned. "That is perfect. You are good at that, and it is about time they paid you properly for it." She paused. "You know, they asked me to do something similar with security. Handle situations that require human durability." I said yes. "Really? Really? Turns out being from a death world has advantages. We might as well use them." She stood up and stretched. "Want to grab lunch? I heard the cafeteria has a new human food section." "That sounds great, as long as they are not serving death apples." Sophie laughed. They walked together to the cafeteria, chatting about work and life on the station. The cafeteria was crowded as usual. filled with dozens of different species eating dozens of different foods. The new human section was in the corner, clearly marked with signs. Kyle grabbed a tray and looked at the options. Real coffee, spicy food, chocolate desserts, even some earth vegetables that other species found too bitter or too strange. It was nice to have familiar foods available. As they sat down to eat, a small alien approached their table. It was a young Bernari, maybe equivalent to a human teenager. It clicked its mandibles nervously. "Excuse me, Mr. Martinez. Can I ask you a question?" "Sure," Kyle said. "What is it? Is it true that humans can eat chocolate? Like actual chocolate?" Kyle nodded. He had a piece of chocolate cake on his tray. The young Bernari's eyes went wide. All 6 of its legs tapped excitedly on the floor. "That is amazing. Chocolate is deadly to Bernari. We use it in pest control, but you eat it for fun. Humans are so cool." The young alien scurried away, probably to tell its friends. Sophie was trying not to laugh. "You are a celebrity now," she said. "The human who eats poison for fun. I never wanted to be famous. I just wanted to fix things. Well, you are fixing things, just not the way you expected. You are helping everyone understand humans better. That is important." Kyle had to admit she was right. The Death Apple incident had started as an embarrassing accident, but it had led to better understanding between species. It had created new opportunities for humans. It had made the station safer for everyone. Later that afternoon, Kyle returned to the hydroponics bay for a routine inspection. Dr. Crystal was there, working among the plants. He waved when he saw Kyle. "Mr. Martinez, good to see you. I wanted to show you something." Dr. Crystal led him to the experimental section. There in the corner where the death apple tree had been was a new sign. It was large and colorful and impossible to miss. Warning, Veteran death apple. Extremely toxic to most species. Potentially safe for humans, but please ask before consuming. Also known as Martinez's folly. Kyle stared at the sign. Martinez's folly? Dr. Crystal clicked what might have been a laugh. It is what everyone is calling it now. The name has already spread to other stations. Some xenobiology textbooks are even requesting to use it in their next editions. You are in the history books, Mr. Martinez. Kyle did not know whether to laugh or cry. He settled for shaking his head in disbelief. For what it is worth, I think they are beautiful fruits, Dr. Crystal said, even if they are deadly. And I must admit it was fascinating to learn about human detoxification capabilities. Your species is remarkable. Thank you, Kyle said. I think. That evening, Kyle sat in his quarters with a cup of coffee and a tablet. He was reading through the training materials Dr. Vexlani had sent him for his new position. There was a lot to learn about xenobiology and cross-species safety, but it was interesting. He had never really thought about how different species experienced the world differently. His communicator beeped. It was a message from Dr. Vexlani herself. Mr. Martinez, I hope you are well. I wanted to inform you that your case has been published in the Journal of Xenobiology. The article is titled, Human Survival of Veteran Death Apple Ingestion, Implications for Cross-Species Medicine. You are now officially part of scientific literature. Also, please remember your training session tomorrow at 0900 hours. We will be discussing toxic plant identification. Dr. Vexlani, Kyle smiled. He typed a quick reply confirming he would be there. Then he leaned back in his chair and looked out the window at the stars beyond the station. 6 months ago, he had arrived at Harmony 7 thinking he would have a quiet job fixing things. Instead, he had become famous for eating poison. He had helped change how the galaxy viewed humans. He had made friends with doctors and commanders and security officers. He had learned that being human meant more than he ever realized. And somehow, despite all the chaos and embarrassment and attention, he was happy. Life on a space station was never boring, especially when you were from a death world and nobody expected you to survive eating the local produce. Kyle finished his coffee and got ready for bed. Tomorrow would bring more training, more work, and probably more strange looks from aliens who could not believe humans drank caffeinated beverages. But that was okay. He was getting used to being remarkable. As he drifted off to sleep, he thought about the death apples. They really had tasted pretty good. Kind of spicy, kind of sweet. If the doctors ever